Hello, hello. I'm Lisa Williams, the Designer Studio HQ founder, and I am here to show you how to build a client portal inside of your web design dashboard. So if you don't have a web design dashboard yet, like a project headquarters, you can make one very simply. Like you'll see mine here. This is what I call my Friends Edition. So here are my three current clients. And I have a project dashboard that I manage all of my web design projects. Now, of course, these aren't my web design projects, right? Like my real web design projects. But this is where I would manage one. This is a replica of what I actually use, but like I said, this is my Friends Edition. So here we go. So your dashboard would have a projects. This is a linked database view of my web design, my all projects dashboard. You can see when I hover over these different views, you can see this is coming from my all projects database. And my tasks is the same way. Here's my linked database view of my tasks that are coming from my web task database. And those are all created in this backend that I have here. So this backend is where all of my databases live. So these are my core databases that I have for this project headquarters. And here are some resources. Now these resources are from my project HQ template that I have available. So that's where this is coming from. But at the very least, you need your database view. Yeah, I mean, you need your core databases here. So I have my projects database, task, client database. I've got a database for meeting notes, and then I have a contact database. So you can import clients into your database, but we won't go into that. But you want to have your databases here in this back end. At least that's what I do. That's what I recommend so that they're all in one place. So if we go back here, I want to add a client portal so that when I open a client portal or when I open a web design project, so this is our web design project for Rachel Green. And if I go full screen here, this is my web design project. This is the stage, the type. I have three, other for other projects, other types of web design projects, but these are my main two. Of course, this web design project database can actually be like for all of your projects, and that's totally fine, but I've just narrowed it down to web design projects. So the start date and the target launch date are here. And then if I click on the view details, I've got lots more properties here. So these are all the properties that I have in my database, okay, in my main database. So now this here is Rachel Green's dashboard. So if I click on this, this is now what Rachel Green would see when I share this client portal with her. This, I call it dashboard. It could be client portal, it could be Rachel Green's project dashboard, whatever you wanted to call it. And I haven't added any directions or anything here, but this is what it would look like. So let's go back to our back end here to our databases. So a couple things you need to do first is you need to, if you're going to set up this client portal, you need to give clients access to certain things, right? So they have to be able to see their tasks and meetings and their client information card if you want that in the client portal. You wouldn't have to. So you have to go to your web task database, so or whatever your task database is. You don't need to do projects because you're not giving Rachel, your clients, access to all the projects, right? You're just giving them access to the tasks for the projects that they have. So like go web task database, I am going to go up here to I have this client access property, and you're going to add this client access property. I name it client access. You could name it whatever, something similar that you wanted to, but there's a little key next to it, and I'll show you how to get that key there. But this is a person property. So if I go to hover over change type, you'll see that this is a person property. Okay. So your client access has to be a person property. And then you'll come up to the share, and then you will see down here page level access. So you're going to give page level access to anyone in this client access, and then you have the option of can edit, comment, or view. Okay. So I have can edit means that they can actually interact with the page, with the task itself. So they can edit, which they won't be able to access properties that you don't give them access for, but they can edit like the status or they can edit the date, which, it is really a personal preference here. If you just wanted them to be able to comment, not change the status at all, but comment, maybe you just want them to comment that they're done with this, and then you can change the status yourself. Or if you comment, if the task isn't started and they comment, say, all right, hey, I'm working on this, I'll have it to you by this date or whatever, then you can go ahead and change like in progress and change the due date if you need to. Can view, I wouldn't recommend this only because you do want them to be able to interact somehow. And if you do can view, then they wouldn't be able to interact at all. So the edit or comment is a personal preference, but you want to make sure that they have page level access to this task database. And what that allows you to do is to give client access to certain tasks. So you'll see down here, this is a free Gmail that I use. And it's just a free Gmail that I actually use for Rachel Green. So this is in my Notion. So the at some point, and I'll show you in just a minute, you will invite the client to their client portal, which then they will have to have a Notion account. So they can use the free account and they will create their account, or if they already have Notion, that's a bonus, but they will be in your Notion. So when you click on the client access, it'll bring up everyone that's in your Notion. Plus, if you have some custom agents there, it'll bring them up. So this is what it looks like. Now, this wouldn't be here if you just are creating this, right? So, but you want to create it here, and that's all you have to do in this part. You're not going to have to come back here again. So I'll show you how to add the client access from your project, okay? So you've got to do this for the task database. Then you also have to do the same thing for the client database. If you want them to see that client card, you will have to do the same thing, and you'll see I have client access, and this client access right here is for Rachel Green. You can see it's Rachel's web design project. I gave her client access to the client database, and this here is only can view. So you're going to do the same thing as to give page level access to any database that you want them to be able to see. Whether they interact with it or not is your personal preference. I don't want them messing up their information. Well, I guess they can't mess up their own personal information, but I don't want them changing things. So I do the can view. And then the meeting notes is another place where you want to give that client access. Same thing. You've got to create the property. So if I go to edit properties, you got to create the person property, and then go up here and give them access, okay? So I have can comment on this one because I want them to, if they have any questions about the meeting coming up, the call, if they have anything to add, they can comment here and just let me know. I don't want them to really interact with the meeting itself, so I don't have can edit. I just want them to know what's coming up. And you can see this is a kickoff call for Rachel. Of course, the date's past due now, but you'll see that this meeting will show up on her in her client dashboard. Okay, so that's what you have to do in the back end first. Then you're going to come to your, actually, let me go to my database again. So you can make your project template in your main database view here, or if you have a linked database view on your dashboard, if you've already created that, you can do it there, but I'll just do it here. So now I'm in my projects database, okay? And I want to create a web design project. So here, if I go to edit, I've got a web design project template. And you know you're editing a template when you see this yellow bar at the top. So this is a template for my web design project database, and I've named it new web design project. I have my linked view of the tasks here and the meetings. And then I have on my template, I have these buttons, which these buttons are all programmed or automated to, when I click on the button, it will create all of these tasks in the task database. Okay. So there's a lot of tasks there. So when I click this button, when I'm inside a web design project, when I click this button, it will add all of the tasks up here in my task database. Okay, so I have back to dashboard, which takes me back to the main dashboard. Okay. And it's a button that I programmed to take me back to the dashboard in a full page. That's a personal preference. You wouldn't have to have that. And then I have files over here that I can upload. I can embed a PDF here, Google Drive. I've got important links here. I just have nothing is filled in because this is the template. Okay, so I've got my linked database view here for tasks and for meetings. And what you want to do with this, I'll talk about the views in a minute, but what you want to do with this database is you want to filter it to be where the project is this new template. So when you go to, let me remove this now, okay, you see how all the tasks come up that you have, but you want to add a filter and go to your project relationship, and you want to choose your template because this is the template that you're creating, and you want to have your projects filtered by the project that you've created. And you'll want to do the same thing with the meetings. Your filter is this project, okay? So that's, you want to make sure that that's done on your template. So when the project is created, it is blank. And then you would go and add your tasks. I mean, you can add them manually in my web design project HQ template that I have for sale. That the buttons are here for you, which if you needed to change any of these tasks, you would just open up the button and you could just rename the task, okay? And the due dates are here already, a formula. So this due date is going to be set on the task already, and it's going, this particular task is going to be 14 days after the start date. Okay, so that's how these buttons are set up. Of course, you wouldn't need the buttons, but it just makes it nice and simple. So I just click the button when I start a new project and the tasks show up. So once you have your main dashboard template done, you would create a page within the template. So whenever this new project is, whenever you have a new web design project, you will start with this template. This template, you want to have the client portal inside of the web design project. It just makes, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but it makes things a lot simpler for you. So I would add a page here, and let me scroll down. So when I just clicked on the plus by my dashboard and I added a new page here. Okay, that was it. So now when I click on the page, now I'm setting up the actual client portal. So this is what the client is going to see. So I have their I have instructions here for the template, which you wouldn't have. I mean, you would have these filled in on your own client portal. But this right here is going to be the client card that shows up. And when I click on the settings in the filter, again, it's filtered by this new project template. Okay. So you do want everything to be filtered by this new project template. So this is the client information. This is by project. So you can do by stage if you wanted to. If you wanted to rename this, you could do by stage, okay, or by status. I mean, by status. And so now it's by status, whatever you wanted to name this view. Okay. So the important piece is to filter this as well by the project. So I want this filtered by this new project template, but I also don't want to show tasks that are done here. So I have a check mark in my tasks database that will change the status from whatever it is to done, okay, when I check that box. So it says complete unchecked. So this filter is, I want to filter it by the complete is unchecked. So any checked boxes mean that that task is complete and it will not show on this view right here. So that's kind of a personal preference. If you want to show the tasks that are done, that's fine too, but you can filter to just show the tasks that need attention, right? And then the meetings is the same way. And of course, these are all blank because this is a template. So even though you're not seeing the yellow bar up here, if you go here, you are inside your template. You are creating the page in the template. Okay, so your meetings need to be filtered by the project as well, by this new project template. So that's all of your filters in your template need to be filtered by this new template that you're creating, because whenever you create a new project, the name of the project is going to be how all of the tasks and the meetings and the client information is filtered. Okay. So of course you can pretty this up, you can add more to it. This is fairly simple, just showing tasks in the meetings that we're going to have and their client information. And I can include any other information down here if you wanted to. I like the call out options. So I have this call out and I can put important links here. And then I can add links here if I want to, link 1, link 2, I could do that, okay? But I want to set this client portal page up because this is the one I'm going to share with clients. So now if I go back to the project template, I've got my client portal page, my client name, client portal. And then here is my project, and you'll notice that has the buttons down here, okay? This is what you're going to manage the project with. So now when I go to my all projects database and I open up Rachel's web design project, let's open it. I'll just open it full screen. You can see the board has her tasks on it, and there's my little complete button. Okay. And there is an automation in my task database that the checkbox is set to done. So whenever I set this complete check, the status is set to done. So this I like because then I don't have to open up the task if I need to complete it. Okay. So this would be, or Rachel doesn't have to either. So this would be for you to manage the project. So you see all the tasks and you see the meetings that you have. If you need to embed anything for yourself, you're going to upload things for yourself. And then here is Rachel's dashboard. So here we have her client card automatically comes up, and then here are her tasks, and here's the meeting. This is what she sees. Okay. So now let's go back and talk about these other two views, okay? In your template, we're going to go back to the template. You want to add in this view right here. So this is the new project template that's going to come up. We're not in the client portal. We're in our template page here, our new project template page. So here's the board view, this standard Kanban board view. Here's the calendar. Okay, so here's my calendar. So I would create the one view first, get the filtering correct and all that, and then just duplicate the view, change the layout. So, change the layout to calendar. So this is the calendar of all the tasks. This view here is just for client access, okay, for the tasks. Now, remember, we shared the task database. We shared the page level access for the task database. This is where the client access shows up. So I only have two properties that are visible now, the task itself and client access. This just gives me an easy way to assign, basically, is what you're doing, the task to the client. So when I come over here, my property visibility is only these two. That's all I need to see right here because the task will show up and I'm going to give the client access here. Okay, so that's why I have this view. And this could be the same way. I'm going to duplicate this view and I'm going to do client access. This is how you'd set it up. Client access, and I'm going to do a table. I'm going to leave it at the table. And then my property visibility is I'm going to take off these two and just show the client access. Okay. And then that's it because it's already filtered. Okay. So here's our meeting, and here's where I'm going to give the client access to view this meeting. I can have other meetings on here that I don't give access to, meetings, calls, trainings, whatever it is that you're going to actually meet via phone or video. I do everything via video and Google Meet, but if you do have phone calls with your clients, you might want to put that into a property, whether it's a call or whether it's a video call. a phone call with an actual phone or a video call. You may need to add that property for yourself. But this client access gives me an easy way to give client access to meetings. So that's how you're going to add this view here. So now if we open up Rachel's web design project, I come here and now I have these views. I didn't have the client access view on here on the meetings when I did this, but here I can give Rachel client access. So here's my tasks. They're just in a nice list here, a nice table, just that's it. And then I can go ahead and give Rachel access to certain tasks. Okay, I can add a new page and I can add a new task here. If something comes up that I need to add, and I can give her access to that. Okay, so I'm giving access here. And then the meeting, if you have the client access view, or you can just open it up. And when I come here, this is what I don't want to do all the time is come over here and do these like 2, 3 clicks to then give access. So that view is important. Okay, and then here we are. If something is complete, I just click the button complete here, and then it will disappear. The automation, you see it disappear. That means it's done. It changed the status to done. It's not going to show anymore. And so you could have a view here yourself for all tasks. And like if I duplicated this view, this is another, you could do all tasks or you could do completed tasks. You could just do completed and you want to filter it now by that it is complete, right? So it is complete. And then I need to probably change the layout to a list and I need to filter. You can see that's filtered by complete. So now these are all the tasks that are complete. Okay, I've had several different tasks, the same task and showing different things. But you could have it completed there so that you can always see what has been completed. Okay, so this is a personal preference again. Alrighty, so this is Rachel's web design project, and here's her dashboard. Now you could test this with yourself because, or like with a free Gmail, like I said, I use one of my free Gmails for things like this. And so I encourage you to test this so you can see what it looks like from the client. So this is Rachel's client, her dashboard, her client portal. And this will be what she can see. Now, since I am in my own Notion, I can see everything here, all the tasks. Even if I've assigned it to her, I can see everything here. Okay. But that's because I'm logged in as me. So if you log in as, you would create a free Notion account under a free Gmail. That's what I would do. Just some other email that you have. We all have, 100 different emails, I think. But so you create a free Notion account under your own Notion, under your own free Gmail. So that way you're able to log in and see what it looks like when you share this client dashboard. So when you're all ready to start your project, so you have everything set up here. Maybe you start with your onboarding and prep. You've added your task manually, or if you get by template, you have the buttons here. So you've got everything set. Maybe you've embedded the Google Drive, you've added the links that you needed to add, you've prepped this for yourself. Then you come over here to the dashboard. You've already renamed it. Maybe you want to have some specific things for Rachel here. Maybe you need to upload a couple things for her, whatever. But your tasks and any meetings you have already scheduled are here. What you want to do is share this page. So you come up to the share and you're going to invite your client via email to this page. So you can see this is the free Gmail that I'm using. This is i.e. Rachel's email. So this is what I have done, and I have done the can edit. Now you can there's different full access, which you probably wouldn't, but can edit means that they can type on this page too. They can't do anything that you don't allow them to do. So if you don't give them access to an entire database, then you won't have a problem with this. So I have can edit, okay? And so I'm inviting to this page, send an email, and then your client will get an email that you've invited them. Now, I'd probably let them know beforehand how this is going to work. I'm going to invite you. It's going to say, if you don't have a Notion account, you want to create one, blah, blah, blah. So I would have them create the account. If they don't have a Notion account, I would have the subscription account. I would have them create one before you invite them, just for ease of the invitation process. I would have them create one before, but you share this with Rachel, and then you're off and running. So you now have an entire web design project management piece here, and you are able to, you can create buttons like this yourself. I just added a button. So you would click here and you add a button, and then you would go in and you would name the button, and then you would start adding your actions to the button. Okay, so that is all I've done here, is created the button and then added the actions in here, what the button is going to do once it's clicked. Okay, so now when I come here, I'm ready to manage the project. Now, this is my project dashboard. So this is where I would manage all of my projects together. So I would come here and I'd say, oh gosh, I have all of these projects. Boy, I'm super busy. Here they are by stage, so I can see what's going on. And then here is this is a property that I have in the projects database that needs attention. And it just gives me, I've got a few tags that things are going on. I need to address this. And then here are my tasks. These are grouped by project. So over here in the filter, I've got the grouped by project. So it's easy for me to see. And then this month, so here are the tasks that are due this month. And of course, these are now overdue. But these are what's due this month. And this is grouped by project. So this would be, again, a personal preference. I've got my clients over here. If I click here, you see I've got Phoebe's client, all of her information here. And in the filter, this is a gallery view. Okay, this is a gallery view. And my gallery is the card preview is the files and media. Now you wouldn't need a picture of your client. I don't know if you need that, but I like to look at my friends. So I did that just so you could see what that would look like. But if you uploaded any files and media, here are your page properties. So you could do files and media and show that, or you could just show none. That's fine too. If I showed none, then I would just have the list of names here. Okay. So here is gallery and then card preview and then files and media. Now I could also the properties available. I just have the client right now, but I could have their email and their phone on the client card. So if I needed to click and email them real quick, I could, or I've got their phone number handy. But again, that's kind of a personal preference. I've got two buttons here for a new client or new meeting. I have a button here for add a new project and add a new task. So if I click add a new project, it will bring over, and it's duplicating the template. So it is now bringing that web design template in. You can see everything is here. All my buttons are here. All of my, everything is here that's on my template. And I would go ahead and I would add a new project name, and, whatever that is. And then I could put the stage here. This is a strategy is schedule. The type is strategy. And the start date is going to be April 8th. And the target launch is, April 29th. I don't know. So then you're ready to go. If you click more details, you've got everything else over here that you would want to go ahead and fill in your the client. You could add a client here. If you needed to add a new client, you could add a new client here. You could add a new client, and then you would just add new client here. Okay. So you have everything ready to go. Let me just slide this open a little bit. And then you would come and rename the client portal and get that ready for this new project. Okay. So now I have this new project, and here is the start date, and this is the type of project or this is the stage that it's in. Okay. If I needed to manually add a task, I can do that, and then I would assign it to the project. Add a new task. These are any subtasks that I have that are related to this task. So I would just add the new task there, and you can see it's not related to a project. But if I click here, you can see I have subtasks underneath here. Now, this is something that you definitely have to set up in your task database. If I go to sub items you have to enable this. Go through here, and there's some advanced settings. If you have sub items, sub tasks, okay, you have to enable that in your database. Okay, so whew, I hope this has been helpful. Couple things to remember is that in your back end of I encourage you to have a back end for all of your databases. So I have a back end for my entire workspace. And so these are the core databases that I have for web design projects. So you want to create these first with the right properties that you need. And then you've got to add your client access, page level access to the databases that you want them to be able to see when you give them client access to a specific task, to specific meeting, what have you. And then you want to make sure that in your project template, since I clicked out of there, I'll just go here and open up the project template. In your project template, you want to have everything filtered to the project template, and same with your client portal. You want to have a page and filter all those for the new project template. Alrighty, I'm curious if what you use for project management, and if you want this entire template, I will leave the link below. You can check it out. It's on my website. It tells you all what's in it, and you get the template right away. You can duplicate it into your own Notion and get to work on your web design project. So, alrighty, I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.